So go live here on, let me just see if this works to hit go live on Instagram. Nope, so we're good. All right, so hello everyone, this is Shari McGuire, the Realtor, coming to you again with another special topic. Today, my guest is Nishul Patel, and he is the owner of Amba Homes. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we recently connected because I have a client who is preparing to downsize her home, and her garage has some serious problems, needs to be just taken down and started from scratch. And so Michelle saw my my post and said, hey, I could help. And so I thought, well, gosh, do you help people with aging in place? And he says, absolutely. And so that's what brought this on, because I know a lot of people are wanting to do what they call aging in place. And we'll get to what that is in a little bit. But first, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to start your Amba Homes company?
Amba Homes was started in 2017. We specialize in rental property ownership and management and maintenance. And some of the renovations that we did, our tenants and some of our friends and family members were really impressed by the attention to detail and the quality of work that we put into our own rentals. And they reached out to ask us for bids on their own home renovations. So that's kind of how Amba Homes started, mostly by people seeing our work that we did on our own homes. And then, they effectively said, you should just start up a company and, start doing this for clients. So we started accepting clients back in 2017. Anything from, new builds of homes, renovating existing homes, just general, anything that requires, some major rework of an existing structure, we kind of focus on, whether it's something small, such as a deck, or simple powder room renovation. We kind of do the whole spectrum of renovations when it comes to properties in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you have the best answer for starting a business. There was a need, there was a problem, and you solved it. And a lot of people, when they start businesses, they just come, oh, I want to go do this, and no one really wants it. So you saw a problem and you fulfilled it, which is wonderful. And I'm sure your clients have loved that as well. So what kind of motivates you to focus on renovations that help seniors age in place?
One of the reasons why I love what I do. I love what I do is because I get to see that transformational change in someone's life. And a lot of the times it starts in the home. The home is where everything kind of boils down to. Where you wake up, where you go to sleep. You spend a good amount of time at home, and you want to make that as enjoyable as possible. So being able to do renovations for seniors, families, anyone in between, really. But our main focus has been seniors, because of the fact that you hear the soft spot where they say, oh, it makes it difficult for me to use my house, or it makes it difficult for me to access the backyard or get into the house. So we try to find solutions that kind of make that process easier for them. Whether it's something as simple as switching out a bathtub where you have to step in 1.5 feet to a, walk-in shower where there's, a 2 or a 3-inch lip to get in. That really makes it easier for seniors to kind of mobilize and make use of, all this property that they have. How do you get as much out of it as possible without having to, spend out of the ordinary to make your life easier?
Absolutely. Let's take a step back again. You want to tell us what aging in place means and why it's important for the senior population?
Aging in place, at least what my professional opinion of it is seniors that want to stay in their current home. It doesn't financially make sense to either relocate for whatever reasons it might be, close proximity to family, medical care. Just, some people like being in the home that they're in, and, it's sentimental value. So staying in that place and improving it to where, you're gaining value out of it from, a usability standpoint and an equity standpoint. That's usually, they want to stay there for a longer term and maximize, every bit of house that they have. And that's what my understanding of, aging in place is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there's a lot of that is sentimental, absolutely financial, where the family is, all of that stuff factors into it. And it's great to just not have to move. It's a lot of work to move, and if you don't need to go, that would be great. But there's also a lot to be said about downsizing if you can do that. So what are some of the most popular renovation projects that you recommend for seniors who want to age in place?
The most popular ones, I would say, are bathroom conversions. So if they have a main floor, full bath, and they're looking to convert that into a shower, that tends to be the most cost effective. There are times where we do convert powder rooms into, main floor walk-in showers.
Oh yeah.
That tends to be a really popular project that seniors love. Another one is accessibility into the house. So if they have, a stoop with 4 or 5 steps, and they're done with the steps and they want a ramp, so building out like a deck landing for them so that they can, have 0 steps going into the house. Whether that's on the front side of the house or the front door or the garage, we try to make it convenient for them. Accessibility grab bars, switching out washer dryers to either, depending on what they prefer. More often than not, it's front load washer dryers. So it's easier to instead of having to lift out, it's easier to lift towards you.
Okay. Sure. So, and easier. You could also stick the basket in front and even just pull it and just drop it in there. That would certainly be a lot easier too. That makes sense. I have this flashback to my son being probably like, I don't know, a year and a half, just in his diaper and his shirt, pulling clothes out of the dryer because he was helping out. But that's important to think of those things as you age, because it's harder to lift things, for example. And boy, the stairs are really a problem. And I've run into that a few times in my life where I've broken my ankle really bad. And like this last time, I was terrified to go in and out of the house because we had steps and no handrails. And it's really not a pleasant thing, but just a ramp can make a huge difference to get someone in and out of their home.
Exactly.
Absolutely. How about, let's see, you've talked about bathrooms. How about kitchens? What are things that people can do to make those more senior friendly?
For those, you're limited on what you can do, but for the most part, it tends to be ADA accessible countertops. That tends to be a little bit more, pricey to do because you are redoing, a whole kitchen or a majority of it to make that work and bringing it up to code. I would say ADA accessibility, just lower countertops usually is the solution for kitchens. A lot of the times we're redoing insides of cabinets that are just drawers and boxes to have rollout trays. So it's easier to, get access to stuff that's kind of, behind the cabinet.
Absolutely. That's interesting you bring up the ADA because I recently helped a client who is in a motorized wheelchair. And so that was really a learning experience to go through and see how well these homes are built for that or not built for that, depending on when they were built. And turns out, that I think it's 34 inches in like a new construction from the sink to the island, for example. That's the ADA guideline, and that's why it's that amount of distance. But the older homes before those rules, they're not set up like that.
Yeah.
And that's where some of these people are living that have been in their homes a really long time and raised their children. Let's see, any specific products or technologies that you're finding have emerged that make things a little easier for people?
The biggest one recently have been bidet toilet seats. That's been a really popular one amongst seniors.
Sure.
It's relatively inexpensive. to put in, and it's something that they prefer. So it's been a popular item. I would say more than half of all of the bathroom and additions that we've done, clients have requested for a bidet outlet or a bidet seat installed in their bathrooms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great to know. Something that we just don't think of. Boy, I bet you're suggesting that a lot now too for people that maybe haven't thought of it.
I do. So like in all the bathrooms that we do, I always say, hey, while we're renovating, the walls are open. If you wanted to run a bidet outlet, now is the time. If you don't, it's more often than not, they do end up going ahead with it because it's only incrementally more, and then having to do that later, it's no one wants to get into tearing apart a wall at a later point. So more often than not, they just go ahead with it and say, yeah, we'll throw the outlet in and get the bidet seat.
Okay. How about navigating stairs or moving between rooms? Anything you guys are doing for that?
So for staircases, we have a vendor that we use that installs the motorized lifts that take you from the lower landing to the upper level. The only time we're ever really involved in that is if there's no structural backing behind that wall structure. Usually there is, but we have a vendor that we use that comes out and gives the client exactly the type of chair setup they need. They are quite pricey, but a lot of the times there's medical providers or some subsidy that's involved that covers the majority of that cost for them. But
that's wonderful.
I would say, the motorized seats, staircase lifts are extremely popular.
Now, do those only work if it's a straight up staircase instead of like one where you go up like 9 steps, you have a landing, another 9 steps? Do you have to do, can you do 2 separate, or?
Yeah, it's effectively one track system that runs all the way up. So they can accommodate for turn staircases.
Does it have to be a certain width for it to work?
Yes, it has to be a certain minimum width. More often than not, most staircases will work because that tends to be the only mode of getting up and down. But it does make the staircase about half the size in width. So getting up and down it can be slightly cumbersome.
Yeah, for the other people that are in the home that don't need that, it gets a little tricky for them.
But the nice thing is, like, the only time it's tricky is if the chair is at the bottom or at the top. Most of the time you're getting 80% of the full width minus the track. They've designed it in such a way that they make the most out of what's available for space.
Absolutely. We have some friends who have one of those, and to get to their basement, and it's a phenomenal invention that somebody came up with, again, to stay in your home longer. They actually in this home don't have to go downstairs. They can live on the main level, but if they want to go do something with their old office or whatever, they can get down in the basement. So it's a great thing to add for people. How about, like, do you take anything into account of blending the safety features into the home's existing design?
There's only so much that can be done with that. It's all very dependent on the individual's home and the layout and what their floor plan will allow to make it seem as if there's minimal accessibility there, but you're maximizing as much as you can for what you need. So we try to blend it into the existing aesthetic of the home so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. So we try to make, instead of having the stainless steel ramps going into houses, we try and match it to the sides and the face of it to a decking color that's similar to the house, so that it blends in a little bit more, so it's not as noticeable.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. That reminds me, it's funny, I have all these stories I didn't even think of before I got here. We had some neighbor whose daughter has physical disability challenges, and they made a ramp outside. And actually, you never really even noticed it because it was really long, and they painted it it was wood, and so they painted it brown, and they put some flowers around it, and it was just there. It wasn't anything that stuck out at all, which was a really good way of doing it. So yeah, awesome. How about advice you have when it comes to budgeting for them? Is this like massive amounts of money? They should say tens and tens of thousands, or can you do a lot with just a littler budget?
It depends. Your average bathroom remodel, refit, if it's just something as simple as switching out, a tub for a shower, you're probably in that $6,000 to $8,000 range.
Okay.
When you're redoing an entire bathroom, meaning taking out the existing toilet, flooring, changing the colors, trim, vanities, fixtures, you're probably in that 20 to 25,000.
Okay.
And when you're adding a bathroom to a space that does not have one, you can be in that 25 to 32,000 range. And it's all dependent, it's a range, right? If the bathroom is small, obviously the cost is going to be, associated with that. But, if it's a master suite, you kind of have to factor in, all the additional labor and materials that are involved. But I would say most of the time it's going to be in those ranges of something as simple as just switching out a tub to a shower in that 6 to 8K. If you're redoing the entire bathroom, you're probably in that 18 to 25K. And then, if you're adding or doing like a larger master bath remodel, you're probably in that 25 to 32.
Okay. That's really helpful just for budgeting kind of purposes. And, I would suspect a lot of these people have a lot of equity in their homes, and they could draw on that equity. But you also mentioned that there's financial assistance programs available. Is there anything in particular you can think of that we could recommend people check out?
Usually it tends to be some seniors will have benefits through the state of Minnesota, whether they are getting disability currently. They usually tend to have a caseworker that they're working with that can guide them on saying, hey, there's this deferred loan program available to make your house ADA accessible. It's specified for certain individuals. So there are some very niche grant programs available through the state, but usually those customers are coming to us with that knowledge already in their hands, and we are just submitting paperwork on their behalf so that they get the whatever it might be, a deferred loan or a grant or a partial contribution towards those renovations. Usually the cities and the counties have their own agenda and documentation that they require to get those. For example, the city of Plymouth has a program for seniors to make their houses more code compliant, whether those are like redoing the fence or the city themselves come out and inspect the property and say, this is what needs to be done up to code, get bids from 3 contractors. And once we review the bids, they usually go with the lowest bidder on the project. And then they award that, and it's a deferred loan program. So you have to stay in the home for 10 years. And then after 10 years, they defer, they waive the amounts that they're contributing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I saw that Plymouth not that long ago, was it last year, I think, approved the accessory dwelling units, which is a newer thing that's coming out, to just build like these little, I don't know, like a cabin in the backyard that would be 4-season kind of a thing, or attach it to the house to get, again, that mother-in-law suite kind of thing going, so that they could perhaps the kids can have mom and dad come and live with them without building, a huge house or having to move themselves. So there's a lot of things that are out for people. Let's see, is there anything coming, like a trend or innovation that maybe isn't quite here yet, that you've been kind of seeing that's going to come and hit soon? Anything like that?
As of right now, the biggest things that I've seen are any of like the smart lock technologies. So usually people will forget to lock their doors or shut the garage door. So automatic, Chamberlain make a product for the garage door openers that, they automatically shut after a timer. or they notify you if the door is opened. Same
Oh,
with the smart locks. So a lot of people are starting to buy those and install them just so they can gain access to their home a little bit easier or without having to ruffle through keys.
sure. That's really good. Because boy, those keys can be a pain in the butt to try and get them in the doors. I wish there was a standard key holder key thing, because like as a realtor, we're opening doors all the time, and every time you go, like the keys this way or that way, or like there's all these crazy things. We need one standard key kind of situation. They're just so different. And then you start getting shaky hands if you're older, then it makes it that much
Exactly.
harder to use those keys. So that's wonderful. It's so great to see technology getting used for good things. Let's see. How about what's the most rewarding part of working with the senior population?
In all honesty, they'll message me back a month, 2 months, 3 months after the project has been done. And then they'll say, my mother has been so much happier or so much more, at ease knowing that like we don't have to worry about her trying to go down the stairs for the bathroom or we just did one recently for a family. His mother is like 92 and they take care of the parents and they bought a brand new house through a big builder up in Dayton and it's a one level home, but the only bathroom on the main level is a quarter. It's just a tub.
Really?
So it's just a tub, but the builder didn't give them the option to do a walk-in shower. So they moved in a year later. It was just too difficult for them to keep taking the mother up and down. So they reached out to do a walk-in shower so that it's sliding glass door. She's, you don't have to pull or push anything. So, and then accessibility bars on the inside and a bench. So that really, we just wrapped that up and he messaged me this weekend and said, she's extremely happy with it and makes it so much easier knowing that she can go to the bathroom on her own and not have to worry about someone being home during the times that she needs to go.
Right, right. Oh, that would just be awful to not be able to use your bathroom in your home alone. Boy, yeah, that's a wonderful thing. And unfortunately, these big national builders, they're just cookie cutter, boom, boom, boom. They're not going to make a single change for anybody. And I tried that with this client who's in the motorized wheelchair. And I'm like, really? You can get away with that? And they can, because, for her too, it was the widths of the doors. Yeah, 32 inches is the standard, but you try and get one of those motorized wheelchairs through there, you have to go perfectly straight to avoid hitting the doors. It's not comfortable living your home like that.
No.
It's frustrating for sure. So 36-inch doors are a good way to go. If you have any, like if you've got the walkers or anything like that. Let's see. Anything that you do to kind of like stay abreast of the innovations or stay motivated to, how do you keep yourself rolling from a day-to-day basis?
To be honest, the biggest driver of business for us are customers that share our name. We've been very fortunate that we don't have to pay for SEO clicks or ads on Facebook or Instagram. Our clients write reviews about us and speak about us when they're with their friends months and years after the projects are done. So whenever I hear a client say, I got your name from so-and-so, it makes me think that like they probably just met with them a week or two ago and these guys are still sharing my name. So that really means I left a positive impact on their lives and, gave them the experience that, that they deserve. And that tends to be the biggest driver for revenue for us. And it just makes me feel good knowing that like, wow, people are really, really happy with the work we did because we did that little bit extra and went above and beyond and separated ourselves from, the generic builder that's usually not trustworthy. Whereas our clients literally say blindly, like, you can trust this guy. He's not gonna, he's genuinely honest and has the family's best interest in mind. And for me, that's been the biggest driver of success. I treat them as if they were my own family.
That's awesome. And that's the way that we should treat all people, you know. Like that's your mom. You're helping out your mom, your
Exactly.
grandma. You're pretty young, so it's probably your grandma. But for me, it'd be helping like my parents, and just you'd want people to treat them nicely and do a good job and have a quality work and not be where it falls apart on them and then they're frustrated. And that's just no good. And that's not good for your reputation. You guys are doing really, really well, and that you can depend on the referrals to just keep coming in says a lot
Exactly.
about the work that you guys do. So I think
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice being able to like take a step back, and when you step into someone's house, you see, how they, how they live and how they interact, and putting yourself in that person's shoes to hear their pain points and what they're trying to solve. I try to see that and be like, well, what if that was like my mother or my dad or my aunt or uncle or kids that you're trying to help? What would you do that would give them the biggest amount of joy? And what can you do to, just make their lives that slight bit better? Because they're doing that for their own home. It's their, it's their nest at the end of the day. Everyone's, finds comfort in their home. So what can I do to bring that comfort to them as best as I can?
You said something that made me think about your intake processor when you first go there. It sounds like you probably go in there asking a lot of questions rather than just say, oh, well, we'll just do this and this. Tell us a little bit about that.
Asking questions gives me a better understanding of how that individual operates, and understanding, what they like, what they don't like. I'll ask questions that may not be directly towards the renovation, but it gives me a better understanding of what their lifestyle is like, so I can give them a product that's going to make the most amount of sense. So simple things as, if they're doing a bathroom renovation for an elderly individual, we'll ask them, is this person left-handed or right-handed? What hand are they most comfortable using? When they're in the bathroom, what are they grabbing first? Something on the left or something on the right? So that then gives us an idea of, okay, should we put grab bars on the left side or the right side? Now, if the right side is the glass door, how do we solve that? And if they need that left hand, well, okay, we'll have the sliders where the one slide glass will go one direction and the one with the arm will be on the closest side, to where they can still use that as a grab bar. So we'll try to design something that, fits into their lifestyle without them having to adjust or change their daily way of life.
That's wonderful. That's something that I think a lot of people wouldn't even think of, but your primary hand's going to make a big difference. So no, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, it reminded me of this client, the wheelchair. Like, so we went into a model home where, it was like the bathroom was on the left side of the home and the other one, it was flipped. And it was funny how she could get in one better than the other one just because of being right-handed. And it's just like going in a parking spot in the parking lot. People tend to go to the left easier or to the right easier, and same thing with the grab bars. So that makes a lot of sense. I love it. And that probably contributes a lot to people's happiness because you took that into consideration.
Exactly. And I think those small little questions that you ask really makes the customer think like, oh, wow, like we didn't think of that, but that's important now.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I love it that you guys do that. So are there any resources or tools you recommend for those looking to start the process of aging in place renovations?
Well, they can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to just sit down with individuals and, give them my unbiased opinion, whether they go with me or not. It really doesn't matter, as long as I can give them the best information and, as unbiased as possible. That would be, the biggest asset I would be able to provide. I don't know if there are other websites out there that kind of cater to this. I haven't really done much research in, what is out there for seniors to kind of navigate on the web. But just from experience, I've kind of figured out what are the biggest pinpoints for aging in place and what the senior population are looking for.
Okay, so what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
They can either reach out to us through Google, searching Amber Homes through Instagram, Facebook, calling or texting.
Okay.
We're on the two major platforms.
Okay. Very good. And I'll have contact information below too after we're all done here. So anything last thoughts you wanted to share?
As of right now, no. I feel like we've gone over quite a lot of detail of what we do and how we help people.
We did, and I thought it was really interesting and valuable, and I hope other people did it too. I'm sure they will. So thank you so much for sitting down with me today to have a conversation, Michelle, and look forward to connecting again soon.
Lovely. Thank you for your time. It was great chatting with you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.